up. You know, they'll let you profit while you help them commit illegal acts.
Isn't that how Anonymous functions as a group entity?
You mean the hackers?
Yes.
Yeah, so Anonymous is in the same boat as ISIS. Anonymous and ISIS were both legitimate organizations from like 10 plus years ago, and they've been destroyed. And now they're used as a front for the FBI. It's like, okay, there was an old show called The Venture Brothers, and Brock used to be a G.I. Joe, and their enemy was a knockoff of Cobra, the Sphinx. And there's an episode where these old soldiers have to do basically terrorism. So they go to a warehouse and they get all the old Sphinx stuff from back in the day, and then they just role play as Sphinx, like, oh, Sphinx is back. But no, Sphinx is long gone. They were just using their weapons and costumes to commit terrorism in their name because they needed plausible deniability. That's how not the FBI, the CIA. The CIA uses ISIS as basically a skin suit to basically commit terrorism. And the FBI uses Anonymous.
It's one of the alphabet soup agencies.
Yeah, I mean, the fucking IRS has armed personnel now. Like, we've militarized the IRS.
Sir! Arms and armament awaiting inspection, sir!
Anyway, the point is, you know, ISIS is the CIA, Anonymous is the FBI. There might be people who affiliate with ISIS or Anonymous and don't realize that they're run by the government, but they're run by the government. It's like if you go to a Klan rally,
Sir,
99% of the people there are feds.
Muskets, rifles.
But you know, they'll fucking wear their hood with you, and they'll will get to hold your torch together and chant the N-word. But like 99% of them are feds. And the second like anybody says anything, they're gonna be on you like fucking homeless people on a dick.
So at what point are groups organic, or is that just not a thing anymore with how digital and how pervasive the security state is?
Well,
is there anything organic, or is it all just infiltrated immediately?
Well, you have to have protections from infiltration, and the problem is the only protections is to have like vetting, and so it's a two-edged sword. If you have vetting, protections, and hierarchy, well then the government's going to know who all your members are, and they're going to arrest them. And if the government, by the way, if the government can't infiltrate and control you, they will destroy you. So if you try to protect yourself from Fed infiltration,
congratulations,
by having, like,
dear.
rigorous, you know,
I'm sorry I
rules
can't be with
and
you
vetting
today.
and everything like that,
But
then they'll
I'm
just
sure the
declare
other
you a
girls
terrorist
can
group.
walk you
They'll
through your
get
vows.
the list of all your members because you have
Things
to
have
track
been
them,
difficult
and
for
then
us
they'll
of
arrest
late.
you all and declare you a terrorist group.
In 8 years, we only lost
Isn't
one
that how
member of
gangs
our
work?
family.
Aren't you just
In the
becoming
past
organized
3
crime
months,
at that
we've
point?
lost
well,
7.
you have
All
you
to
have
raider
undercover
ambushes.
cops in gangs all the time.
I've asked Eve to accelerate our training
That's
program.
how they do.
If the worst should happen, we need everyone to be ready.
So yes, you have undercover cops.
In order to
infiltrating
become a
gangs,
full
you have
member of
feds
the order,
infiltrating,
you will
know,
need to
right-wing
master the
groups.
tools of
Now,
the
thing
Mistress
is,
of Mystery.
as long as you're not doing anything
Sword,
illegal,
shot,
like yeah, they
and
may not
shadow.
like that you don't like the Democrats or
Work with
don't
Eve
like the World
and your
Economic
mentor.
Forum or don't like
When the time comes
the
to prove
small
yourself,
hats.
Kryptos
But
has
that's
the
not
details.
illegal. I mean, I guess now it is. Now that they passed the anti-Semitism laws, now it's illegal. So maybe you'll see like people start cracking down on anti-Jewish sentiment. I don't know. I haven't heard of anyone being arrested, even though those laws were passed. So I don't know if they're just afraid. Because the thing is, the second they arrest somebody, that's when it hits the courts. Because it's like if you try to sue and say, hey, these anti-Semitic laws are bullshit and violate the First Amendment, which they absolutely do, the second you arrest somebody, they now have standing. If you don't arrest anyone for these laws and just keep them as like, oh, you can't do that, that's illegal, as long as you don't arrest anyone for them, they can't sue because they have no standing. But once you arrest them and charge them with these anti-Semitic laws, then they can sue you for violating their First Amendment rights. And then those laws are
What about the protests what about practicing like the school? Isn't that like
those weren't
free speech?
yes, but those arrests weren't due to them violating these anti-Semitism laws. Those arrests were due to
Prepare
them,
for danger.
like
Prepare for
they do this
adventure.
for peddling.
Prepare for
The
survival.
police tell you have to move, and they box you into a corner and tell you have to move because you can't move or you have to push through the cops to move, they arrest you for non-compliance. They do it to protest all the time. It's basically a way to force the protesters
Life is an adventure.
to
Hurry,
basically
up to the challenge.
not comply, so that the police have an excuse to arrest them. So that's a thing.
Isn't that the same thing they do when they put their foot in the door? Like in the door jam when you go to shut the door, and then like they can get you on assault on an officer because you like bumped their foot.
Probably, yeah.
Something.
That's why you just give them both barrels at that point. You bring out your fucking super shotgun. But yeah, look, the cops and the courts and the government, they know all the
Are you
loopholes.
ready
They
for
know all
the
the
thrill
ways
and
to
excitement
basically allow
of
them
life in
to
a
skirt the law
post-apocalyptic
and do
hellscape?
things which are illegal.
By popular demand, this month's creative
whatever.
learning classes are on.
The worst of
Wilderness
the no-knock
survival.
warrants,
Courses and crafting
where they
materials
just
are
barge
now
into your house in the
available.
middle of the night, and then when you reach for a gun because you think you're being robbed, they blow your brains out. Like, oh, he tried to assault you with a gun. Like, you broke into his house at 4 in the morning. What the fuck was he supposed to do? Like, if you heard your fucking door get kicked in, and you heard somebody running up your fucking stairs, and you had a gun, you'd be like, oh shit, someone's coming to kill me. And you reach for a gun, and they just fucking blow your brains out. And they don't announce themselves. They don't, like, that's the entire point. But they decided, hey, you know, these drug dealers are destroying the evidence.
It's an execution.
Yeah, but and I understand that, like, yes, if you knock on the door, you give the drug dealer the chance to flush his drugs down the toilet. Okay. That doesn't excuse you bursting into their fucking house and killing them. And what pisses me off is this never applies to the government. So just for an example. So the reason why we have no-knock warrants is because drug dealers flush the drugs down the toilet. It's reasonable to assume that those drugs were flushing. We can't prove they were drugs because you were flushing. But the fact that when you heard the cops knock on your door, you're frantically flushing things down the toilet is kind of suspicious. So we're going to assume that those are drugs. We'll charge you something like a lesser offense, but we're going to hit you with something. Now let's look at the 2020 election. So you had like a couple audits. I think in Maricopa County, Arizona, they had an audit. They found so much fraud in that one audit in one county that the judges were calling for an audit all over the So, and my point is, when the judges ordered the things over for audit, and they were erased, nothing happened. In fact, this is also the basis for the, what's it called, defamation case against Giuliani and Trump's lawyers, because after the evidence was destroyed, they didn't sue Giuliani's lawyers. Saying, hey, you election. We're going to sue you for defamation. We destroyed the evidence and got away with it, and then sued you for accusing us of doing what we did. In violation of the order, and then nothing happened. That's the system. Isn't it great? Don't you go fucking die for this system? Don't you want to fight for this? System. There's not going to be. They're fucking puffing their chest and coping. What's going to happen? Here's the thing. During the summer, supposedly, the F-16 is supposed to make their dramatic debut in Ukraine. This is going to be the last wonder weapon of the West. And the F-16s, well, there's a couple ways this could go. If they bring the F-16s into Ukraine to be launched from Ukrainian air bases, they will be destroyed probably within a day, maybe a week. Immediately, they will be immediately destroyed. So, you might think, oh, well, they're building this big air base in Romania, just launch them from Romania. And that's what NATO thought. They were cheeky. Like, oh, we're going to...
That'll be destroyed.
Well, but NATO, they keep crossing all these red lines. And because Russia hasn't nuked them yet, they think they can keep crossing red lines. So, the belief is we build air bases in Romania, we launch the aircraft from Romania, and Russia won't attack the air bases because it'll trigger Article 5 and start World War III. So we get to, launch cheeky air raids against the Russians with impunity because he won't dare attack our air bases. And Russia says we will destroy those air bases. We will fuck all your shit up. And then if you try to launch missiles into Russia, we will nuke you. Like, we're not fucking around. And people are like, oh, Putin's bluffing. So he started calling like all the ambassadors and like the foreign ministers and everybody, and he's like, there were like backroom conversations, and Putin's like, I don't know what he actually said. I'm sure it's something along the lines of, I am not fucking bluffing. If you launch a fucking missile into Russia, I will nuke you all. So all of a sudden the West backed down and decided they're not going to launch missiles into Russia. Now they said they're going to launch troops.
And he also said...
Well, go ahead. Go
Sorry,
ahead, Voodoo.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Voodoo.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention as well, so everybody, like, trying to psyop the sort of narrative that Putin is a madman, he said he's gonna nuke everything, that is 100% propaganda from the West.
I didn't say anything. I said
they're trying to paint him as a madman.
No, I said you all. I didn't say, like, he's gonna kill, like, he's gonna hit the capitals. He's not going to kill...
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That, like, the comment is taken out of context.
Well, look, no, Putin is not going to nuke, like, New York City. He's going to nuke Washington, D.C. Like, he's going to nuke the government. The people who are the problem, not, like, random people. Now, the thing is once the cathedral realizes they're going to die, they're going to launch their entire nuclear arsenal. And then Russia's going to launch their entire nuclear arsenal too. So it'll still end the same way. It'll just be like an extra step, I guess. Anyway, the point is the West backed down. Now there was talk of them sending troops into Ukraine. But again, they might be able to scrape together. Let's be very generous. Let's say they scrape together 120,000 troops. Why? Russia has over 1 million troops, and they have an army of 200,000. It's that 120,000. That'll give them a couple months to cheat. But they will cheat through that army. And then after 120,000 soldiers are dead, then what? Like, the thing, now people pointed out, I seem like these kind of NATO shills talking about how the American military is so much bigger than Russia's. It's like, but a lot of those militaries are spread out with all these foreign bases. Like 15% of the military is in all these other foreign bases. You take that 50% out, and then you take out all the logistic people who aren't warfighters, you're not left with, like, Russia has vastly more actual fighting soldiers if you take out the ones. If you want to abandon all the foreign bases and abandon your empire, be my guest. But I'm pretty sure they're not going to do that. So you have to keep the soldiers at the bases in order to maintain their presence. I mean, the personnel aren't going to do shit. Like all these women answering the phone with their fucking pregnant flights, they're not going to do shit. The trainees, they're not, like, what are you going to do with all these people? And the thing is again, I said before, the left can't win. They just have to abandon everything they believe in. If they got rid of all the trainees and all the women and all the bullshit in the military and started actually becoming like pro-America, pro-white military again, they could get their military back up and stuff. Like, why are all these women and gays that are in the Pentagon replaced with actual women who are fucking doing? They could do that on paper. They could abandon their climate change agenda. They could embrace energy, reproduction. We have all the resources we could ever need to win any war we want. But leftist ideology dictates that we shoot ourselves in the foot at every opportunity. So the left can't win. The left can't save itself. And now the thing is that that's why their best move is to let Trump be president, because they fucked up so badly under Biden that they need somebody to like clean up their mess. But also, there's some hard choices need to be made, and they need somebody to be the bad guy. So making Trump president, so you can make a hard choice and be the bad guy, and then they can shake their fist and blame him for all the bad suffering around people. Perfect for them. Because again, their power is based on resentment, being a minority. They want resentful minorities to vote for them. So you get all the brown people back on your side. But Trump's not going. If you think Trump's going to like do anything substantial, I have bad news. He's not going to do anything substantial. It's going to be a lot like his first term, where there's a lot of talk, a lot of promises, some half-hearted efforts, and that's about it. They're expecting him to drain the swamp and disband the FBI and lock up, fucking Clinton. None of that's gonna happen. And he was the chosen humble pie, but I did. I don't. And I'm past the point of the plane. I don't even think. We had the worst inflation in American history, and the Democrats gained seats as the incumbent party, which you never see. And they're like, oh, it's because of Roe v. Wade.
You can't stab people unless you buy something to do the stabbing with.
I understand. Continue to cope and masturbate while your wife gets fucked, honestly. But yeah, that's what we would get a repeat of 2022 if Russia wasn't annihilating the Ukrainians and embarrassing NATO.
Don't forget to purchase a few cans. Never know when you need an edge.
But honestly, I don't want them, at this point, the fact that they're doubling down and destroying themselves and wrecking their lives is good fun. So I don't want them to, suddenly get a clue and start managing effectively. Continue to double down and destroy yourselves. That's
you should take up the rating life. Take what you want. Kill people that deserve it.
Well, but here's the thing. I actually expected NATO to launch missiles into Russia as planned, fully believing Putin was bluffing.
Maybe you'll kill someone with one of my weapons. Think of me when you do.
Hubris and suicidal bullshit. They can be talked down. Well,
rating is a good life. No rules. Survival of the fittest.
Always and never take the L. Then they would have been equal. They did back down, at least in that one way. They actually backed down, which means even I understand, based on their arrogance and stubbornness, the smart call would be they're going to steal the election from Biden. That was their original plan, because they're so full of themselves. They don't believe in changing the plan or adapting or taking the L. But Trump isn't the threat he was before. I think he's been humbled a bit, and he's been, talks have been had. And he's on board. He basically wants to be president. He knows, I think he understands that the system is corrupt and he will never be president again unless he basically succumbs to the defeat. So he's decided that being president again is more important to him than whatever plans he might have had to make him. So he's basically just selling it.
It also means he's getting out of jail.
Yeah, so there are deals. Yeah, I guess maybe that was it too. They basically showed him, we can bankrupt you and ruin your life and throw you in jail. We know you didn't do anything. We know you're clean as a whistle. But we will just make some bullshit up and ruin your life. So you can either be president and do what you want, i.e. do nothing, just continue to stand around with your stomach your ass while we destroy the world. Or we can destroy you, and then even if for some reason, let's say the steal doesn't work, let's say all the illegal Mexicans that Biden has brought in for some reason forget to vote that day, and all the fraudulent mail-in ballots burn in a fire because the truck carrying them goes off the road because it was hit by, I don't know, some fucking, like somebody threw a blue shell at it on the freeway. And the steal doesn't work. They'll just assassinate it. So Trump knows, like, the system is so far beyond the pale of redemption that, you know, at least he gets to be president. At least he gets to oversee the collapse of America from the White House. If he
Need some ammo, Kims, or spiky bits to stab people
it's like
with.
a Temple of Doom.
You
Fed
may
Indiana
find
Jones
some
blood
here.
from the skull chalice, and he got all mind controlled. It's like that, except cum.
Yeah, well, like I said, it really makes all the logical sense to let Trump win, but at the same time, still feel like going after Trump hard.
Well, again,
Previously
until the
owned
nukes-
loot
like,
for
the Cathedral
sale.
did stand down
Mostly
when they were going to launch missiles into
blood-free.
Russia. That's the first time I've seen them actually stand down. They always have doubled down. So I understand they're probably going to double down. That's kind of the safe bet. But they have at least shown one instance where they did stand down and not double down, which means it's
At
possible
a hard
that they're
day
thinking,
of
they're not
killing
just like, hey guys,
and
just keep doubling down
looting.
until we were before.
Don't
They might
want
have to be
to
thinking,
haul
okay,
it back yourself.
doubling down isn't working.
Sell
We
it
need to actually start
here.
thinking about what we're doing. So I'm sure, look, conversations are being had, and it's not a coincidence that Trump's poll numbers are going up, the trials against him are falling apart. It's all, this is the important thing, it's all being reported in the media. If the media
You
was trying
look
to
in
juice
at
up
me.
a
How
Trump
about you
going to
stop
jail narrative,
looking
they wouldn't be
and
reporting on
start
his poll numbers, they wouldn't
buying?
be reporting on the circus that these trials are. Like, the fact that he's getting favorable coverage by very deep in the pocket left-wing cathedral news outlets shows you that the cathedral is supporting this. It, like, compare
Stick
favorable coverage of
up,
Trump to favorable coverage
Just
of
kidding.
Somebody who the cathedral
Want to
obviously doesn't
buy
like
or
Putin.
sell?
Like, Putin and Xi are like an existential threat to the cathedral. So you don't see very much. You don't see puff pieces about how great Putin is on CNN or fucking, you know, any of these outlets. But you'll see articles talking about Trump in a positive way.
Now in
about how popular
stock.
he is among the
Goods
middle class, and people
acquired
trust him in the
through
economy.
questionable
And the thing is, remember,
means.
propaganda is all based on conformity. When the media starts telling people, hey, most Americans trust Trump on the economy. Most people, like, if you look at the issues that the people care about, it's all economic issues and immigration, obviously, because all the fucking open
Please
borders.
don't
Trump is leading
stab
on all
other
of them, and the
customers
media is
while they
reporting
shop.
that, which is telling the normie NPCs that it's okay to believe this because everyone else believes this too. You're not alone. Go ahead and believe this. And why would the cathedral do that unless they were prepared to accept a Trump presidency? And why would they accept a Trump presidency?
Get your
unless Trump
rating
had been
supplies
successfully,
here, or
what
don't.
do you call it?
I
Not infiltration,
don't
just
care.
one guy. Bought off, corrupted.
Intimidated.
Did they pause his neck hole? Did they mark him? Did they come in his butt and make him his bitch? Or, I don't know. Whatever they did,
We will never know.
we'll never know. We'll have to
This
look into Trump's
vendor
eyes
unit is
and see
equipped
the
with
pain.
anti-theft
But again,
measures.
it's like, okay,
Don't
it's silver
get
or lead.
any
If you stand
ideas,
against us, we'll destroy
chump.
you. If you do what we want, you can profit from it. What would you do? Would you say no? I'm going to do the... Like, think about what happened during COVID. The doctors who stood up against the narrative and spoke out against the vaccine, they lost their license. Some of them went to jail. The only
Wanna
doctors who successfully
buy
stood up
some
were
junk?
retired. And there's nothing they could do to them because they had tenure or they were retired and collecting a pension. They couldn't do anything to them. They couldn't pull their license. They weren't even practicing. But the doctors who were practicing, they had to shut the fuck up and do what they were told, or they would have had their lives destroyed.
Note to the
It takes a lot of
gourmands.
to do
Human
the right
flesh
thing
is not
at great
acceptable
personal
tender
sacrifice.
here.
Like, maybe 1 in a billion people would actually do the right thing in those circumstances. Well, in fact, You know, you've heard about the trolley problem? Like, would you pull the lever to save one person, or would you not pull the lever and let 5 people die? There's actually a way to phrase
dangerous
the trolley
to
problem
go
radically
alone.
change how you
It's
approach the trolley
dangerous
problem
to
going
go
forward
in
if you
groups.
take this on.
It's
So
just
the traditional trolley problem
dangerous
is,
out
okay,
there.
you're at a railroad track,
So
you see, a
stock
train is
up
coming, it's going to run over
here.
5 people, but if you pull the lever, it kills 1 person. Do you pull the lever? And the idea is, but you didn't have anything to do with these people being tied to your track. You just happened upon this train track. If you pull the lever, you're personally taking responsibility.
Vendor
for killing 1
not
person.
responsible
If
for
you do
your
nothing, you're an
safety
innocent bystander,
or
you don't get involved,
the
you're not responsible.
safety of
That's a
goods
moral dilemma.
purchased.
Here's what completely radically changes this to one side. Imagine you're driving a car with autopilot, like a Tesla, that's a self-driving car, and it's about to run over 5 people. You can take control of the wheel.
Caps
and swerve
available
the car to
in
the
exchange
side
for
and run over 1
pillage,
person.
loot,
But the
pillage,
autopilot will disengage,
loot,
and you'll be
available in
liable
exchange
killing
for
1 person.
caps.
But if you don't do anything, Tesla will get fined for faulty autopilot, and you won't be liable for killing those 5 people. Because it's one thing to be asking about the moral implications of killing 1 person versus not getting involved and letting 5 people die. It's another thing to say you will be criminally and
Stop
civilly
up
penalized
here
for killing
before
that
your
person.
next
You won't
kill.
just feel bad, you will get the fucking pantsuit off of you. Would you still save 1 person? Or would you just let the 5 people die in order to avoid life-destroying lawsuits? And almost everybody would. Most every people, if it came down to
Reminder,
sued
any
fucking hell,
attempted
they would rather just let
5-finger
people die rather than
discounts
save
will
somebody
be
if it meant
reclaimed
getting sued to hell
and
for it.
paid for with said fingers.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, and that's
The loss
basically
of 5 strangers to the world is of no great loss.
right. Like I would save 5 people, but not if it meant me going to jail or getting all my shit sued off because if you killed this person, you have to pay his family $1 million and you have to do this and that. Basically, I'm not going to ruin my life for a stranger. No offense. And that's kind of Trump is being put in a situation that, look, you're either going to do what we want or we're going to destroy you. You want to be president again? These are our terms. And yes, everything we're doing is totally illegal. You can't do shit about it. We control it. We are the system. We can't fight it. So we can let you be president if you read from the teleprompter and suck our dicks, or we can destroy you. If somehow you get enough people together to win we'll just assassinate you. We'll have assassinate. And then nobody gives a shit. My penis. You can sign on Fellatio note. Let's move on to our next one. Okay, so speaking of conspiracy theorists, I love that the headlines from the Daily Mail, man 28 died of a blood clot, wrongfully given count yourself lucky. A healthy man of 28 died of a heart attack from a blood clot caused by the AstraZeneca vaccine. And this is in the headlines now. Now, I saw, it's almost comical. People are like, yeah, TFF, that's the AstraZeneca vaccine. It's not the Pfizer vaccine. I feel like they're exactly the fucking same. like, good thing I drink Pepsi. That's the thing. It's so stupid. So, I'm sure there are people who are still posting about it. Anyway. What's it? Alright, fine. Anyway.
What I understand, is a disorder brought on by the vaccine, where it like makes your brain cloudy. It has something to do with difficult.
You mean like blockages in the bloodstream?
Not blockages. Basically, but it does so in the brain. So it like it leads to like brain cell death.
Yeah, it's called a stroke. It's a heart attack in your brain. So this was actually talked about years ago, that there's no such thing as long COVID. Like if you get COVID and you're not vaccinated, you just get over COVID and you're fine. The only people who've ever had long-term COVID are people who got the vaccine. It is 100% vaccine injury being passed off as long COVID. Remember back in the day when they were blaming everything and anything for all the heart attacks and not the vaccine? They're like, oh, it's the tea, they're going to the gym, it's the video games. Like, I had a joke where it was like they're spinning a Rolodex and people finding
Attention, citizens. Nuclear strike imminent. Please exit the area at your earliest convenience.
There were more articles about how this is causing heart
Thank you
attacks and
for
that's
your
causing heart
cooperation.
attacks. And not the fucking vaccine that everyone was forced to take. And now here we are, May 9th, 2024. They're like, oh, it causes blood clots. Like, oh, no fucking shit. I mean, the sad thing is it's too late. Like, if you didn't listen to the conspiracy theorists who got the vaccine, I mean, good luck. Now, luckily, I don't think everyone's going to die. I think there's got to be some type of genetic component to it, but we don't know. We don't know. We may never know. So if you got the vaccine and you're fine, and your ticker's working great, and you're not getting. Now, here's the telltale signs. If you survive this long, you're probably not going to die of a heart attack. However, if you notice you're getting really sick all the time, like you're just like the flu and the cold are really kicking your ass, you might be coming down with the AIDS. Like your immune system might be dying. You might have the immune system.
At your service.
So just make sure that you bundle up and watch out for monkeypox. Go to your gay orgies.
Please refrain from that.
Anyway, so yeah, I was right. So you know.
Or trampling the flowers.
Next article. Oh, this is okay. This is an AI article, but it's not waifu related, so I didn't put it at the end of the show. This is so funny to me. Okay, so here's the problem. Government can't do its job effectively because it hurts the feelings of women and minorities, right? Like you can't crack down on like welfare abuse and fraud because it would disproportionately affect black people. And because human beings would be doing the audits and the investigations, that would be trackable. But what if you have an AI doing a big black box and nobody knows how it's doing it? It just finds the fraud and identifies the people committing welfare fraud. And we don't know how it's doing it. Like we don't know why all these black people are being targeted. We don't think the AI is racist. We've independently verified it's not considering race. It just happens that all these black people are committing welfare fraud. They're all getting targeted by the AI. Now, what's going to happen? This always happens, by the way. You have AI come in to solve the problem it was programmed to solve. It invariably disproportionately affects women and black people, and then they shut it down. That's what I promise you that'll happen here. The article says government will use AI to crack down on benefits cheats with $70 million in funding earmarked for high-tech machine learning to detect fraud. I'm sure the AI will work great it will uncover all kinds of fraud. But then when they find out that it's affecting blacks and women, they're going to shut it down because it's sexist and racist. Just so you know, it's just like the AI. The funniest one was the Australian one, where feminists did a study. I talked about this on the show back when it came out. This is several years ago. Feminists did a study where they determined that women were being discriminated against. And they did this study where they took identical resumes and they put a male name on one and a female name on the other. They sent them out, and the male ones got more callbacks than the female ones. So they pushed for gender-neutral, gender-blind hiring, where nobody knew what gender they were when they hired someone. And the problem with that was the feminists had cherry-picked the data because duh. So rather than...
They did the same thing here with
They do this all the time. So they can't just do an experiment, let the data show what it says, and just move forward. They have to start with a predetermined outcome and then cherry-pick the data to get the outcome they want to fit their narrative. And the problem is, when these academics publish these cherry-picked bullshit studies, governments respond. So the government of Australia passed a law. It might have been New Zealand. It was Australia, New Zealand. They passed a law mandating gender-blind hiring in order to stop this discrimination against women. And hiring of women went to free fall. Because it turns out they were over-hiring women. They were promoting women. And once you made it blind, they didn't know who they were hiring. All the men were getting hired and none of the women were getting hired. And so rather than, the best part is when the feminists realized that there was no discrimination against women. In fact, there was discrimination that benefited women. Do you think the feminists were like, oh, well, we believe in equality. Gender-blind, gender-neutral hiring is equality. We won, girls. Time to go home and bake a cake. No, they're like, we have to stop this. We have to go back to the old way where women were being favored. And so the government immediately reversed their law and let the women get their favorable hiring practices again. But the entire point, all of it was based on a cherry-picked bullshit study.
The responders quite
false narrative
barged into the White Spring and have taken over.
Sexism.
They don't
it's all
respond
bullshit.
well to
the last bastion of sexism in the financial industry is venture capital. So women are complaining to the government, hey, these venture capitalists won't invest in my business because I'm a woman. And then they go to the venture capital.
The work they do is extremely rewarding.
Hey, why are you only investing in these companies? And they're like, it's their books. It's not because they're a woman. The women, they have these ideas, but they don't have their books look like shit. I'm not going to invest in their company. And they're like, yeah, but we want you to. And it's like, well, it's my fucking money. Go fuck yourself. How about you lick my butthole? Like, do you think this is BlackRock? Do you think we're investing other people's money? This is my fucking money. And the government can't tell individual investors they have to invest in women or else. It's their fucking money. Like, that's the thing. Like, the reason why BlackRock and Vanguard can be little fucking agents of the government is because it's not their money. They're investing other people's money. Shit, if the investors lose money, it doesn't hurt their bottom line. But you're not going to invest your money in a fucking woman to appease some government statistic. Like, also, there's no consideration for the investor. Like, okay, let's say the investor decides to invest in women. What does the investor get in exchange? Is there going to be some kind of compensation when they lose money from the government? No. Go fuck yourself. Unless we're going to play the heads I win, tails you lose game, where you're going to bail me out when my investment inevitably tanks because I invested in a woman because you told me to. Anyway, so...
Well, they had the same thing happen here. They said that they had a study that said that resumes that said, like, John O'Donnell on them got called back, like, 10 times more than someone that said, like, Jaquarius Cooper. And so they tried doing, like, they didn't institute it, but a couple companies tried doing, like, blind hiring where they did everything online without names and all that up until, like, the final interview. And they were saying that, like, black callbacks went to, like, nothing. Yep. So they just stopped doing it.
Right. It just shows it was an open admission that women and blacks are not qualified. Because once you strip out their gender and race, they completely drop off the radar because they're not qualified for these jobs.
Right.
And then they push for diversity anyway. forcing more women and more blacks into industries where they're not qualified, and we wonder why, like, the doors are falling off of Boeing jets and stuff.
Not just that, I mean, and you see this, and you drive down the street, all of these the wacky mentality. So, like, they say, oh, we're hiring more women, we're getting more women on the job. But they have day jobs where they can't have enough.
Graham, no humans get sick if eat dirty meat. Charlie makes lots of dirty
It's even worse than that, because
so
one thing, if you
watch
like,
out.
if you had like a
Humans
bullshit
need
job, like, you know, here's the guy obviously you don't pay the girl holding the sign as much as you pay the guys who do the work.
It's time to start me,
cook!
Complain
Like,
every
okay,
human get ready.
So you have these women getting paid all this money for doing nothing because they literally can't do it. And they're getting over, it's basically just lawsuits. Basically, the companies, they're going to have to pay money one way or the other. They can hire a woman to basically look pretty in the corner and do nothing, and pay her a very generous salary on par with the men who actually do the shit. Or they can get sued. They're going to lose money either way. They get sued anyway because of Me Too. Because these women, by the way, they cause the drama. They flirt with their coworkers, and when the coworkers, they don't tell them to go back to work and fuck off, and they're trying to be nice and polite to them, then women like accuse them of sexual harassment, and they get bored or move on, or let's say some poor guy actually thinks that she's into him, and starts flirting back, then he gets fired. Women love causing drama. This is the thing. Women like causing drama simply for the sake of it. Even if it's like this whole, I don't even want to talk about this, it's so fucking stupid. This bear versus man, like which would you rather meet the wild, and the women are all like, I'd rather meet a wild bear. And when men are trying to explain to them how dangerous wild bears are, when they're like, oh, you're
dangerous.
you're not validating who like there's a victim. Oh, you're being a wild bear is like yeah, so let me fucking I don't want to talk about it. Here's the thing. The reason these women are piling on is because it's popular. Period. Yeah. That's all it is. Women are like, oh, there's a thing I can jump on to get attention. That's the beginning, middle, and ending. They don't even care about the bear or men or the it's a thing that's happening they can pile on to and get attention. And women are stuck in fucking office, nothing to do, because they're fucking stupid and incompetent. They will create drama just to entertain themselves.
Humans win.
That's why, like, if I was forced,
humans Graham give prizes.
Stuff like that, and they're like, oh, you're denying your
well, yeah, well, we're going to talk about something related to that, which is actually really interesting. But anyway, it's all about drama, whatever it is, women will pile on, start drama, just if I was forced to hire a woman, if I was told, like, hey, you have to hire women, or we're going to shut you down, I would hire a woman to work at home. Pay her I basically pay her a six-figure salary.
This meat week have many good meat cooks.
Here's 6 figures.
I'm very happy for this.
Have a nice day. This is my fucking hit bag to pay. And like, she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do anything. She was there getting a paycheck for being a woman.
Sweet meat treat. Ram gonna eat the meat. Who gonna eat the meat? Ram.
I guess I just have to hire
Who gonna eat the meat? Humans. Who not gonna eat the meat? Charlie. Oh, cause it's meat week. Meat week.
Why people went to college previously, you know?
I've made this exact same argument many times. I agree. I'm 100% on board.
Everybody goes, oh, well, a woman goes $500,000 a year to run a financial system, like run a bank, when I have a 4-year degree in like lesbian dance studies. And because she was told that's what a college degree does, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that she...
Dude, I know somebody, like, we're not friends, but we're acquaintances. Okay. And his daughter, like, is basically not speaking to him anymore because she wanted to go, she got into, I want to say Columbia, but it was one of the Ivies. Okay. Right? She got in, and when her father's like, well, that costs, I think they're 40, but he's like, well, that costs like 70 or 100 or whatever it is. What do you want to do? Like, what's your plan? And she's like, well, I figure I'll go and I'll start taking classes, and then I'll figure out what to do. And he refused to pay for it. He said, I'm not going to pay for it unless you know what you're studying. Because I'm not going to have you pay for it. I'm not going to pay for 2 years of school. And then you decide you want to major in diversity, equity, and inclusion for your last 2 years. And I'm out $400,000 on a degree. And she's like basically like calling the law and all this shit, like, oh, you're just keeping me down. Yep.
Yeah, I would disown her. I'd be like,
So
keep fucking talking, bitch.
He's telling me about it. He's like expecting it, and I'm like, bro, you can tell me.
Yeah, be like, you just subscribe to my OnlyHands, and I'd slap the shit out of her.
But yeah, they all look like that kind of and women, like, this is what they believe. Like, they believe that back in the day, if you had like a 5 year that people hired you just because you had a piece of paper, not because you were actually competent to do the job. So now when they come to I got to
I got it.
Like, oh, they're discriminating.
Well, okay, I got one for you. So when a woman says she has a STEM degree, ask her if it's in environmental studies or environmental engineering. Yeah. So women are like, I'm an engineer. I'm like, ask her, is it an environmental engineer? And the answer is probably yes. Environmental engineering.
I'm so glad to be away from the
bullshit.
pit.
It's basically a degree where you learn how to sue the government for environmental activism.
I could really go for a
but for
hoagie.
some reason, it's a STEM
sandwich.
degree, and you get to call
Jen's
yourself
got
an engineer.
style that I can respect.
I really hate
you know what I mean?
I really hate how the term engineer has been abused all these years.
Well, because
engineer used to actually
I know that's why it's abused. Like, okay, you know how rape got extended? It used to be where I hold a knife to your throat and force fuck you behind a dumpster. That was rape.
Jen's got
then it turned
style
into
that I can respect.
Sexual assault.
You know what I mean?
Is rape. So if I touch you with my elbow on the bus, and then it turned into non-verbal sexual assault. Or non-physical sexual assault.
I
So
have ruined it.
This is
It is ruined. No, it is
because the word
on
rape
sale.
has power.
You need
so they
it
want
to
use that
live.
Word. They keep broad
So
definition
buy
more and
it
more things
and
rape. So they can use that effective word.
Sunny.
Like calling somebody a racist, or there are certain words that are effective. So they want to
I've made a lot
broaden
of
the
friends here at
definition.
Foundation.
So engineer has
Nobody's special
a
here,
certain
though,
level of prestige
if you know
to
what I
it,
mean.
and so they want to broaden. Now they try to do this thing with what they call Steam. I don't mean the PC kind of video game thing. They tried to add.
I was just about to mention.
Yeah, they
really go for a hoagie.
No, well, it didn't.
Sandwich.
But it doesn't. Here's the thing: it didn't work. It was like the Latinx thing. It's technically a thing, but everyone laughs at it. So they added art to STEM. And the problem is, if you know anything about higher education or anything, you have like your basically your STEM degrees and your arts degrees. And arts and STEM have nothing in common. So they tried to add art to STEM so that all these people with useless arts degrees can call their degree a STEM major, and it just never caught on, like Latinx, how it never caught on. So when you say that you have a STEAM degree, you're basically saying I have an arts degree. Because everyone else who doesn't have an arts degree calls it a STEM degree. So what they did then, that's when